back, adventurers, once again to Let's Play ChäoS here. In the last episode, we got a deeper glimpse into the device known as Noah 2, which seems to be an artificial version of the people dubbed Gigalomaniacs, people such as Senna, Ayase, and of course Takumi Nishijo himself. And speaking of Takumi, he ended up getting some bad advice from Sarah, what a surprise, given that she's an anime figurine and an anime character. But nonetheless, he has no choice but to delve right into the Nanami-chan rescue quest to try and save his younger sister. They might have had some disagreements between the two of them, but Nanami is still pretty much the family that Takumi Nishijo has. So, come what may, he is going to risk everything to try and save her. Which is exactly what our captors want. Didn't want to do that.
助けなきゃ僕が
I'd taken Serotan with me as a protective charm. I'm not quite sure how helpful that's going to be in the long run, given the fact that she pretty much gave up on Nanami right then and there. Under ordinary circumstances, I'd never ever carry a figure around with me. If nothing else, there was the danger that it'd get damaged. As an otaku, breaking one of my darling wives was my #1 taboo. And yet you're bringing the figurine anyway, the post-awakening Sarah figure to boot. But I could no longer afford to maintain that policy of mine. For now, I wanted moral support. And as for Rimi, she is busy looking after the unconscious Ayase Kishimoto. Might not even be alive tomorrow, but if we don't hurry fast, Nanami might not be alive for the rest of tonight, much less tomorrow. I took one last peek down at Serotan, whose face stuck out inside my pocket. By doing so, I somehow succeeded in fighting back my seeping tears. Well, unlike Serotan, Nanami isn't going to emerge from this unscathed. As an added incentive, her severed arm was sent in with the cell phone as well, as one final nail in Takumi's coffin. Someone collided with me from behind and I staggered. When I looked over, a thuggish man was giving me a disagreeable stare, but he didn't complain to me and soon disappeared into the crowd. I surveyed the area. The Shibuya Scramble Crossing. It was a vast crowd of people, one that made it hard to think it was 9 p.m. on a weekday night, not to mention a day when an earthquake with over 100 fatalities had taken place. I felt like I would suffocate just from waiting for the light to change. Front, back, right, left. People were everywhere. Yet another handicap against Takumi's favor. Public anxiety. And all of them were raising their voices as one great mass, as if they were cheering on soccer teams at a soccer match. Wonder why that could be. I didn't know why, but apparently the mass media was flooding in as well. People carrying huge cameras crowded into the street, stopping the flow of cars. The photography lights lit up here and there were overbright. Well, Shogun did mention something about capturing us on television, which means that Shogun has quite a bit of pull. People resembling reporters faced the cameras and spoke heatedly about something or other. A number of police officers were observing the passers-by and media crews who jutted out into the road, but it wasn't the kind of situation they could easily rein in. It was more or less turning into a pedestrian utopia. Were they holding some kind of event on a day like this, at a time like this? I had to believe that you've forgotten the contents of Shogun's email. How inappropriate, considering that 100 plus people died. Wouldn't they consider taking things more seriously? On top of that, the media joined them in their uproar. Man, Japan was done with. Now you're starting to sound like an at-channel troll. Not that it mattered much to me.
助けなきゃ。僕が助けなきゃ。
Because if we don't save Nanami tonight, things are gonna get a lot worse. O-Front, the building designated by Shogun, was located right by the pedestrian scramble. Tatsuya, Sutaba, and other stores could be found in it. I hadn't truly meant to come alone, but I hadn't been able to get in contact with Rimi. Since it was possible that the police still wrongly thought of me as being the new gen perp, I couldn't report it to them either. While I thought about doing such things, the time Shogun had set kept approaching, and worry for Nanami had started to drive me up the wall. And so I couldn't stop myself from coming here, serotan in hand. No turning back now. Cutting my way through the sea of people, I managed to get inside O-Front. But its interior too was quite packed. I didn't even have the room to get fed up with this. The only things in my head had been filled with were prayers for Nanami's well-being. I took the escalator to the upper floors. I could look down on the scramble crossing through the Sutaba's windows. There was an astonishing number of people there after all. Furthermore, all of them were waving or bobbing up, making little jumps, and countless black heads undulated. Hold on. It was clearly brighter here than when I'd been down there. It was enough to make me wonder if all the spotlights were aimed in my direction. Each time the escalator carried me to a higher floor, my heartbeat grew more ferocious. When I took out my cell phone to see the time, it was a minute past the promised time of 9 o'clock. If Shogun got pissed off by this and killed Nanami, the thought of it made me go cold, and I sprinted my way up the escalator, pushing aside the customers ahead of me. Yeah, we're literally out of time. Midway through, I switched to an elevator and took it to the highest floor. I didn't know how to climb the roof from there, but as I wandered back around, careful not to catch anyone's attention, I soon found a back staircase. I succeeded in reaching the roof at once without receiving anyone's censure. That's probably going to be the only bit of good luck we have. At last we made it. The wind was strong up on the roof. A terribly lukewarm wind, given that it was nearing the end of October. I soon realized it wasn't a natural wind, but rather air expelled by the outdoors portion of the air conditioning system. I closed my front buttons to prevent serotan from coming flying out. Though, realistically, yeah, I don't think a Sarah-Ogle figure, even a pristine one, would be worth the life of Nanami Nishijo.
ありがとう、ボケナス。
どういたしまして。
Actually, I'd actually be kind of creeped out by that. I was relieved to hear Serotan's voice in my head. If Serotan were with me, I wouldn't be so scared, and I wouldn't be so sure about that myself. I desperately attempted to convince myself of it. Even so, it was dark. The only illumination came from the back of the neon O front sign. In contrast, the neon of the surrounding buildings were too bright, making it hard to see. Even if someone were hiding in the shadows, I had the feeling that I definitely wouldn't spy them out.
遅かったね。
But there is somebody else up here. When someone called to me out of the blue, my heartbeat, which had just started to slow down a little, began banging again. I looked around, but it was too dim to tell where he'd spoken from. I heard a sound, a creaking sound, one I had heard numerous times before. This time I deliberately focused my gaze on the other side of the darkness. There I found the shining, albeit backlit, wheels of his wheelchair.
は
Flashback. Shogun.
ようこそ、匠くん。
But wait a minute. There is something odd about Shogun's voice here. He voiced my name in a friendly way. The uncanniness of it made me have goosebumps. I didn't want to talk to Shogun. He frightened me. I wanted to run away from here immediately.
じゃあ逃げちゃおうよ。
Unfortunately, we don't have that option, Sarah.
このままじゃタッキー殺されちゃう。
But Nanami,
君はすごく勇気のある人だ。ちゃんと一人で来てくれるとは。
There's that oddness again. For some reason, Shogun has using some sort of voice filter distortion. But when we encountered Shogun before, he never had any inclination to do that. There is something odd about this encounter, adventurers. I'm not gonna lie.
ありがとう。と言っておくよ。
And the Shogun was strange. He differed somehow from when we met before. Right, his voice. His voice was weird. And in fact, come to think about it, now that I actually ponder, the content, well, not necessarily the contents, but the attitude given in the email is also different from when he contacted us before. He never actually seemed entirely threatening. And in fact, Shogun's attitude on the Shibuya crossing beforehand seemed to imply sorrow, saying that if Takumi didn't awaken, more people would die. I can't help but think that the fact that we've been set up.
その声。
声なんて、ただの空気の振動でしかないよ。
どう聞こえるか、その場の条件によって変わる。
Well, it's true that Shogun himself could actually hide his voice. Again, given the fact that he didn't do so before,
そうだろ?
something isn't right about this encounter. What was going on? His voice kept transforming. There is only one reason why one would distort one's voice in the first place. And that is to mask his true voice. Now it could be that this person right here is Shogun, but the fact that he is going to such lengths to hide himself, even after brazenly declaring himself a Shogun, is a bit of a contradiction in my book. Something is definitely uncouth about this, and rather strange. Something tells me that this person here isn't actually Shogun as we remember, but somebody pretending to be Shogun. However, that being said, it means that somebody other than Takumi himself knows about Shogun. Probably if they did some digging into room 37, they'd probably find out about Shogun. Was he using a machine or something? Did he want to conceal his identity by hiding his voice? But why now? I think at this point, this Shogun is an imposter. Besides, I didn't understand what he was saying.
タッキーを混乱させようとしてるんさ。
I think I could gather that much.
油断しちゃったね。誰の言葉も信じちゃダメ。
Does anyone include fictional anime heroines such as yourself? Because if so, I'm ready for all that. Yeah, Seraton's right about this. Don't listen to anyone, Takumi, not even your precious waifu. She'll lead you down the wrong path. Unfortunately, Takumi seems to always be led down the garden path when it comes to Sarah. The things Seraton tells me are always the most correct. If only your critical thinking could extend to the second dimension. I clench Seraton's body through my clothes.
Nanami wa doko?
It seemed like fear would make my heart leap from my mouth. Even so, I frantically forced my voice out. I thought scenes like this only occurred in TV or in games. We'll consider this a real-life enactment.
Nanami wa mou shinda no?
ダウト。だって手首ちょん切られちゃったんだよ。もし生きてるにしても、もうすぐ出血多量で死んじゃうのは変わんないよ。
Tears fell. Nanami's sulky face rose at the back of my mind. She'd been insolent. Frankly, she'd been a pain. Despite that, I was so grief-stricken, sad enough that tears could come out.
Nanami wa boku no imoto nanda. Boku no taisetsu na. Nande koroshita nda? Hidoi yo.
死んだと思う。もしかしたら君の家に送ったあの手首は別人のものかもしれない。
Interesting twist of logic there, but the hand, the uniform, the bangle, and the cell phone? Too much of a coincidence.
バングルと携帯はナナミちゃんのものだとしても、手首そのものは別人のものかもしれないっていうこと。
I doubt you would have been so considerate as to create a fake hand. I don't trust you. Nanami is alive? Yes, indeed. But I'm not buying the fact that that hand isn't
信
hers.
じちゃダメだってば。
君が見事クエストをクリアしたら、ナナミちゃんは返すよ。
Again, the mentioning of the quest. Shogun never referred to this as a quest before. Which again, this isn't Shogun.
生きているナナミちゃんをね。
Quest. Shogun used that word again. Quote unquote. Yeah, even Takumi is no longer buying the fact that this is Shogun. Did he want me to get into it like I was playing a game? But in reality, I'm no hero.
でももしクリアできなかった場合、ナナミちゃんは帰ってこない。
And who's to say that you aren't rigging the game so that he can't clear your so-called quest? His voice abruptly went as cold as a blade. It was pathetic of me to cower in fear of an old man, but that's the other thing as well. On the Shibuya Scramble, Shogun actually revealed himself once in person. For him to hide now after we've seen his true face again leads credence to the reality that whoever this man is, he isn't Shogun, as he claims. He was abnormal after all. He was the new gen criminal. This man might very well be the new gen criminal. But whoever he isn't Shogun.
だから僕を失望させないようやり遂げてほしい。君ならできるよ。
なんで僕なの？
A question which we've been wanting to know the answer for quite some time now.
僕じゃなくても、僕なんかじゃなくてもいいじゃないか。
君でなくちゃダメなんだ。
だからなんで？
君は選ばれた人間だから。
What do you mean chosen?
勘違いしちゃダメだよタッキー。あいつの言う選ばれたってのは次の犠牲者として選ばれたって意味なんだから。
That possibility has crossed my mind. Recalling the wretched fate of the victims in the sequence of new gen incidents, I shivered.
君は今日の昼間のことをもちろん覚えているよね。
昼間？
I certainly do.
学校で君は岸本綾瀬を助けた。
So whoever this man is, he knows that for whatever reason, Takumi just so happens to be a gigolomaniac, even if Takumi himself is unaware of this epithet. Shogun had mentioned the ruckus about Ayase's failed suicide attempt in his email. He must have been watching the hubbub from somewhere, or else he was the culprit, and he used mind control to make her commit suicide. I don't think that was the
あの花壇
case.
のおかげで岸本綾瀬は一命を取り留めた。そうでしょ。
But we cannot discount that truth. Shogun knew about the power I was supposed to possess. At the time, no one on the spot had wondered about the flower bed, except for one other person, that person being Senna. Only Senna had recognized it for what it was, and Senna had said this to me.
お前が妄想したんだろ。
タッキー、将軍の言うことは全力で否定して。
I see. Maybe Shogun dogged at me. Maybe Shogun was trying to kill me. Because I possessed that power or whatnot. But also remember what Shogun had said to you before, the actual Shogun. He told you to awaken or else more people would die. If I claimed I didn't have any power, he might let me slip away. Oh, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
僕にはそんな力ない。
He's not gonna fall for that.
力って何のこと？僕はそんな言葉は一言も使っていないが。
In other words, you've given yourself away there, Takumi. Crap.
タッキーには力なんてないよ。ただの肝オタなんだよ。タッキーにヒーローの素質なんてないさ。私にハーハーしてるだけの無害の引きこもり予備軍。そうっしょ？
That's right. We're self-centered and juvenile to think I had a unique ability. Oh, but you do. Senna and Ayase told me all kinds of things, and I'd totally begun to buy into it. You probably should at that. For starters, they were obviously kind of mental. Maybe Ayase. Definitely not Senna. I'd have to be off my rocker to unquestioningly swallow the words of a mental patient. Even Remy had said, isn't that itself a delusion?
詳しく説明してくれない？
But our mysterious friend already seems to know the answer.
あの花壇のこととか。
僕がやったっていう証拠はあるの？花壇を何もないところから出現させるなんて、そんなの僕には無理。
花壇が何もないところから出現したんだ。
We keep falling into his trap.
他の人は誰もが最初からそこに花壇があったって話していたけど、君だけは花壇は最初はそこになかったってそう認識しているわけだ。
Oh dear, you keep putting your foot in your mouth. I might have dug my own grave again. You did. More importantly, who the hell was Shogun? When he implied that the other students and teachers had said so, it couldn't mean that he had spoken to them himself, could it? Which again means that whoever this person is, he isn't the real Shogun.
僕は力なんてない。自分でも一体どうやったのか。
でも使えた。君が妄想したことが現実になった。
We have no choice but to cross this bridge and see it through to its end.
惑わされないで。
I think it's a little too late for that. He's strung us along as it is.
タッキー、本当に力なんてあると思う？
That flower bed is proof.
そんなのアニメの世界じゃん。タッキーがいるのは現実なんだよ。花壇のこともアヤセッチが2人に分裂したこともそれらが現実だったって証明できる？
Considering the fact that he had thought about them the moment that they actually happened.
無理っしょ？分裂したアヤセッチの体に触った？
I hadn't touched her.
ただの幻かも。
That might be true for the first instance, but for the second, I'm afraid Sarah's logic has thrown itself out the window.
そもそもタッキーはあの時警察とかユアッチに追われて動転してたし。
And what about the flower bed?
同じだよ。花壇は最初からそこにあった。
No, it wasn't.
タッキーはリミッチを探してあそこへ行った時頭が痛くてフラフラしてた。
That flower bed used to just be a concrete parking lot.
アヤセッチが落ちるまでにはっきりとそこに花壇があることを確認した？
Not this time.
みんな誰一人として花壇が出現したことを疑問に思ってないってことはさ。
Except for two people. Takumi and Senna.
逆に言えば最初からそこにあったから疑問に思わないってことっしょ？タッキーが間違えてただけなんだよ。将軍の言葉に惑わされちゃダメ。
I think he's not the only one who is misleading Takumi here, Senna or Sarah Orgel.
花壇は最初からそこにあった。
If only you had said those words at the beginning, you wouldn't be in this predicament. But then again, this person is already confirmed. I repeated what Saratan had said.
最初はそこにはなかったって思い込んでたけど記憶違いだった。僕の脳内での妄想だよ。だってみんなあそこには花壇があったって言ってるんでしょ。力とかそういうわけのわからないものじゃなくてただの思い込みだったんだ。
いいや、君には力がある。
Yeah, we were never going to get out of that one.
そうだろ
死にたくない。
そうだろ
わからない。殺さないで。
君は自分の天才的な力についてもっと自覚するべきだよ。
I hate to break it to you, good sir, but Takumi is no genius.
その潜在能力はすごすぎる。君なら世界を変えることだってできるんだ。
But change it according to whom, I wonder. Well, that is going to be it for this episode of Let's Play Chaos Head. And when we return, adventurers, we're going to have to continue playing with this imposter's little game, because we aren't exactly in a spot to decline. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.